I'm going to go ahead and call this regular meeting of the Camarillo City Council for Wednesday, August 28, 2024 to order. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Martinez Bravo.
Here.
Councilmember Santangelo.
Here.
Councilmember Tennyson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kildee.
Yes, here.
And Mayor Tremblay.
Here. Let the record reflect that all council members are here. The agenda indicates that we're going into closed session under item A. Madam City Attorney, do you have anything to add?
Yes, we have one item for closed session. It's conference with legal counsel under Government Code Section 54956.9D1, and it is the OPV Coalition litigation matter. And if there's any reportable action, I will make that report.
All right, we will be in recess. We will reconvene at 5 o'clock.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the Camarillo Board of Library Trustees regular meeting for Wednesday, August 28th. And we will go ahead and move on to our roll call, which all the council members are present. Make the record reflect that. And Councilmember Santangelo, can you please lead us into the flag salute? Thank you, Councilmember Santangelo. We will move on to general public comments. Is there anyone who wishes to address the library board specifically at this time? Seeing no one, we will go ahead and move on to the consent calendar.
Move approval.
We have a first and a second. City Clerk, can you please take roll call or take the votes?
Trustee Kildee,
Yes.
Trustee Santangelo,
Yes.
Trustee Tremblay, President Pro Tem Tennyson,
Yes.
and President Martinez Bravo.
Yes. And that moves on a vote from 5-0. And now we will go on to the discussion items. And we have two items, the library annual report fiscal year and the library activity updates. And we have a staff report on that.
Good afternoon, Madam President and fellow library trustees. The Camarillo Public Library is excited to announce that we've selected One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle for Camarillo Reads 2024. A resident of Los Angeles, Rebecca is the New York Times bestselling author of Expiration Dates in 5 Years, The Dinner List, and the young adult novels The Edge of Falling and When You Were Mine. Searle has also developed a hit TV adaptation, Famous in Love, based on her YA series of the same name. The author event will take place on Saturday, September 28th at 2 p.m. in the library's community room, and copies of the book are available at the library, both digitally and in print, available now. This year, the library will also host additional Camarillo Reads programming that relate to topics of the book, such as a creative writing workshop and an Italian food demonstration, which will be held at Bistro 13. Details on all events are listed at the Camarillo Public Library website. I'm also excited to discuss the next agenda item, which is the City of Camarillo Public Library's annual report. Here are a few of our highlights from last fiscal year, from July 2023 to June 2024. We started off the year by launching Career Online High School, which is a service that provides scholarships to adults who are looking to earn an accredited high school diploma free of charge. 7% of adults in Camarillo are without a high school diploma and make $10,000 less than those who do have one. With the help of our dedicated adult literacy staff and through California State Library funding, we have awarded scholarships to 7 adult students who are currently enrolled in the program, and we hope that they'll graduate later this fall. Russell Fisher Business Collection initiated a new business education series titled Junior CEO, which was geared towards young teens. 9 students explored basic business education in a 5-week program that was held at the Camarillo Boys and Girls Club. After the series, the students were able to sell their handmade items at the Camarillo Christmas Parade. The students in total earned $1,372 through 136 transactions. Over 200 people stopped by the RFBC table to discuss this innovative and practical program, and we hope to launch it again this year. This past May, we organized our first multicultural event called Camarillo Connections to coincide with the City of Camarillo's 60th anniversary. So programs for this event included interactive Tahitian dance, a Bollywood dancing, and an East to West classical concert, as well as an energizing folklorico performance. It was our first time doing this, and over 400 people attended the celebration. So in total, for the year, the library hosted 743 programs, with 32,931 people attending for the year. Over 235,000 people visited the library, and we issued 6,290 library cards. I'm grateful for city leadership, staff, and our amazing community for their dedication and support of the library. And I plan on submitting this annual report as soon as possible to our social media channels as well as our library website. I'll also be submitting this report to the California State Library. And that concludes my annual report presentation. I'm happy to address any questions.
Thank you so much, Mandy. Do we have any questions? Any comments?
I have a comment. Congratulations, that's really great.
Thank you.
Keep up that healthy tradition in Camarillo for that library, so
Got it.
that's really good news.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I've already read the book. I read One Italian Summer. It's
Oh,
a
what do you
great
think?
read. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
so
really good.
anybody watching out there, it's a great little read. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Just keep up the good work, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And likewise, Mandy, I think you're doing an exceptional job along with your other staff. And the library is such a happy place. And it's definitely, I mean, it shows through the numbers and it shows through your 743 programs that you've established here. One of my questions was going to be, how can we have access to your report? It was very colorful and definitely a great read. And you mentioned social media, website, and any other ways that people can get a hold of that?
I'll continue to collaborate with the city about how we can market that.
Okay.
Maybe we could put it as an attachment to our e-newsletter group.
That would be
But
great.
I'm happy to. It is a beautiful report. I'm happy with what we've done. this
It's
past year.
great, yeah.
Thank you.
And maybe I'm a fan of QR codes, so we
QR
can
codes,
get the
yes.
QR codes out, as students and people come into the library, they can easily scan it and check it out. You're doing
Thank
a great
you.
job.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. And with the end of our board and staff comments, we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting of the Camarillo Library Trustees Board.
Of the Camarillo Sanitary District. Let the record reflect that all council members are present. All right, are there any general public comments? Seeing nobody come forward, we'll move on to the consent calendar. We have items A through D.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Kildee,
Yes.
Director Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Director Tremblay,
Yes.
Secretary Tennyson,
Yes.
and Chair Santangelo.
Yes. Okay, and that passes unanimously. We have no discussion items and no public hearings, so I'll move down to board and staff member comments and reports.
Nothing to
Seeing
report.
none, we'll move to adjourn. Thank you.
All right, we will go ahead and reconvene the meeting of the Camarillo City Council. Let the record reflect that all council members are present. First item up is a presentation item for ARC of Ventura County and their 70th anniversary proclamation. You may have noticed that we, before the meeting, we took a few pictures, but it's okay. We want all of you to come back up. I want to introduce to you, well, let's go up here. Let's start off up here. Please join me up here. Come on up. Sorry. So I'd like to introduce to everybody Esther Anaya, the Executive Director, Cheryl Abayan, the Program Manager. Did I do that right? If I get last names wrong, okay. Yasmin Corral, the Director of Human Resources, and Samuel Wiener, individual. All right. So thank you all for being here. We are really proud of your efforts. I think it would be good to read this proclamation because I think it tells the story of what ARC of Ventura County is all about. Whereas the ARC of Ventura County is committed to providing services and support to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, IDD, to achieve their goals toward a lifetime of opportunity, choice, participation, and contribution. And whereas the ARC provides programs and services to more than 650 individuals with IDD and employs 220 Ventura County residents. And whereas the ARC fosters respect for the unique strengths and abilities of each individual served and their support staff, and together their contributions enrich our community and enhance our diversity. And whereas the ARC empowers independence, self-determination, and self-esteem in individuals with IDD by recognizing their talents and needs, as well as barriers and obstacles they face in their quest to realize their dreams. And whereas the ARC supports the determined spirit of self-advocates, who through their efforts are taking an active role in the continued development of a society where all people are considered equal. And whereas the ARC was established in August 1954 in the city of Santa Paula and has since served thousands of individuals with IDD and their families throughout their Ventura County, and I will add, has done a terrific job of doing so. So this proclamation from all the members of the City Council recognizes your efforts, recognizes your 70th anniversary, and thanks you.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a couple of quick words? It can be more than a couple, sorry.
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members, thank you on behalf of the ARC of Ventura County and the parents who challenged the system 70 years ago for their children who are adults, and for future parents, present parents, to create a system that allowed for contributing members of society despite of disability. We are pleased to accept this proclamation on behalf of everyone that we support throughout the county of Ventura. And thank you very much, Samuel Weiner, for taking time to be here today.
Thank you all very, very much.
That's nice.
We certainly invite you to stay because we have a fascinating agenda, but we realize you may have other things to do. So have a good evening. Thank you. All right. With that, we are going to go to council and staff comments and reports. Who'd like to start us off tonight? Looking left, looking right. Well, don't all stand up at once. Who wants to start off? Councilmember Martinez Bravo.
All right. Okay, thank you, Mayor. So August 15th, I attended the Economic Development Collaborative meeting. August 16th, I attended the nonprofit town hall event that Senator Limon and Assembly Member Bennett put on. It was a really wonderful event. They recognized 2 nonprofits of the year, so many congratulations again to Housing Trust Fund and also to Women Economic Ventures who were there, and they've just been doing a wonderful job throughout. The town hall event, there was also an opportunity to go over some of the legislation, and I won't go over it in detail with you, but there are a few bills that are being discussed, and I think it's important for us as council members to just be aware. If we go to Assembly Members Bennett's website under nonprofit and town halls, you can find an overview and a fact sheet of some of those bills that are in the process. Within the city of Camarillo, I know that part of our goals and objectives is to continue to support nonprofits, and this was another just great opportunity for us to continue to do that. And moving on to August 17th, I attended the Wings Over Camarillo Air Show. It was a really, really fun family event. Thank you so much to Visit Camarillo for the invite. They're doing a great job just getting the messaging out in general about visiting Camarillo. August 21, I attended the special meeting of the City Council for the Old Town Strategic Visioning Workshop, the stakeholder input session, and I was accompanied by all of the council members here. August 26th, I attended the finance meeting with Councilmember Tennyson, and also August 26th, I attended the investment meeting with Councilmember Tennyson. And August 27th, yesterday, I attended Coffee with a Cop at Panaderia Lucero, and it was a great event. Actually, there were a lot of families with young children, and I got very good feedback, both online and in person. Some people requesting to have a Coffee with a Cop there again. So it was a very positive event, a great opportunity to continue to improve and sustain positive relationships between law enforcement and our community, and that includes all communities here. And August 27th, yesterday, I also had the opportunity to join my fellow council members to a check presentation by Congresswoman Julia Brownley for the tremendous support for the Las Posas Bridge Replacement Project. And that is all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to go next? Councilmember Santangelo.
Okay. For meetings attended on August 15th, the CPA Executive Committee. August 20th, I had a lunch meeting with the mayor and Keith Freitas from the airport. On August 21st, we had the Old Town Strategic Visioning Workshop, and we also had our special meeting. On August 22nd, the Economic Development and Land Use Committee. And August 27th, yesterday, I was also there for the check presentation from Congresswoman Brownley. And that does it for me.
All right. Who's next? Councilmember Tennyson.
I think I'll be short because between Councilmember Martinez Bravo and Councilmember Santangelo, they covered all the meetings I was at. A quick shout out. Martita mentioned the Coffee with the Cops, and this summer they had a very effective program, Cones with the Cops, that PVRPD allowed the Camarillo PD to use their park settings, and Mr. Softy, I believe, and it was phenomenal turnouts at all of those events. And I just want to laud the police department because they do an excellent job of community outreach, and it's not just certain sectors of the community, it's the entire city, and they're present and available. And our last at the last concert in the park, it was already mentioned previously, they had their National Night Out. Unfortunately, my experience with National Night Out was a lot more extensive. We traveled around to 40-some neighborhood watch groups, and I understand that budgets are tighter than they were back in '99 through 2004, but it still was a great turnout. Everybody got to meet law enforcement officers. And as the deputies used to say, see all our toys, and I quickly corrected them, it's tools. We don't buy toys, we buy tools. But again, I laud the police department for their continuous and ongoing community outreach.
Vice Mayor Kildee.
Yeah, okay, so I did attend the air show, and also August 21st, the Old Town Strategic Visioning Workshops. They had a lot of really good information and ideas there, and it's a work in progress like it always has been, but it is something to be proud of, and it's really improving down there. Today I attended a Utilities Committee meeting with Mr. Tremblay. August 27th, I attended the check with the grant from Congresswoman Julia Brownley, and I'm sure the mayor will have more to say about that. And let's see, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, for meetings attended, actually it wasn't a meeting. On August 18th, I worked the Rotary Beer and Margarita booth at Wings Over Camarillo. In past years, I've worked it on Saturday mornings. This time I worked it on Sunday morning. There is a discernible difference in alcohol consumption and purchases. On Sunday morning, there are less than on Saturday morning, but it was still a pretty good crowd. I worked it between, I think, 10 a.m. to 1:30, but thank you to the organizers of the air show. On August 20, I had a lunch meeting with Councilmember Santangelo and Mr. Freitas, the Director of Airports. August 21, we had both a City Council special meeting and the Old Town Stakeholder Input Session, which I thought was very well conducted. On August 22nd, I met with the Ventura County Coastal Association of Realtors Local Government Relations Committee. They wanted to know what was going on in terms of land use in the city of Camarillo. August 25, 26, I attended the strategic planning meeting for the statewide board of directors that I sit on for the California Association of Sanitation Agencies, and we kind of set our agenda for this next year. On yesterday, August 27th, together with the other council members, we attended a little ceremony with Congresswoman Brownley regarding the Las Posas Bridge Replacement Project. This is the second year that Congresswoman Brownley has been able to procure for the city funds toward our Las Posas Bridge Replacement Project. Second year in a row and Congresswoman Brownlee has been a steadfast champion for the city of Camarillo on this project. This is the project where we are going to eventually, probably it'll be in about 2 more years, I think, in 26 or 20, by late 26, we are in the position of having to replace not the bridge over 101, it's more toward the Del Taco, the intersection side, more toward the intersection of Las Posas and Ventura Boulevard. That's actually a concrete bridge where there has been a reactive aggregate problem, and that bridge needs to be replaced, and it's critically important to move goods and services. 32,000 vehicles a day use that bridge, and the reason it's so important, and particularly from a federal standpoint, is that it serves, just look where, stand near that intersection and look what it serves. Naval Base Ventura County, the Port of Hueneme, Highway 101, the Camarillo outlets. The list just goes on and on and on in terms of its importance. So we really appreciate Congresswoman Brownlee's efforts in that respect. Also yesterday I had a meeting in Leisure Village, my monthly outreach meeting, and today, August 28th, meeting with Councilmember, Vice Mayor Kildee, Utilities Committee. I just have one thing I want to provide to the council, and I'm going to give this to the clerk, Carrie and Sylvia and clerks, and ask that you make copies and send it to all the council members. I had a resident share with me an op-ed piece from the Los Angeles Times from August 23, and it's written by Bill Fulton, who is a former mayor of Ventura and the well-respected planning director of San Diego. He is an expert in land use and planning, and he sat on Ventura City Council, and he was advocating for reform of the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA. And the op-ed piece is just excellent. 2 things to note. One is how he puts it, the legislature keeps punching holes in CEQA to make exemptions for projects on a piecemeal basis. For example, for the legislature's own office building in Sacramento. But the take-home message that Bill Fulton indicated, and I'm just going to read it, it's time, quote, "It's time to stop punching holes in CEQA and fix it instead. The state should streamline CEQA review for projects that meet California's policy goals on climate, as well as meeting local plans and ordinances that support these goals. A consistent standard should be applied in every case." And it's a very well-reasoned op-ed, so I'm going to give this to our city clerk and ask her to distribute it. So that's it from me. We're now going to move to consent calendar items C through I.
I'll move consent.
All right, we have a motion. Nobody wanted to pull anything? All right, we have a motion and a second on items C through I. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Councilmember Tennyson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kildee,
Yes.
and Mayor Tremblay.
Yes. Record will reflect that that item was approved on a 5-0 vote. We're now going to move to two items. First item up is a discussion item, item J, and this is the underground waiver for PVRPD pickleball courts. And this evening we have a report, I think, from Paul McLaren. We do. There is Paul, and then I know Mary Otten, the general manager of Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District, is here as well. So, Paul, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. Tonight I'll present a request from Pleasant Valley Recreation and Parks District for the waiver of an undergrounding requirement for a proposed pickleball complex. The project site is zoned rural exclusive residential and has a land use designation as park and is part of Freedom Park at the northwest corner of Hook Street and Skyway Drive at the airport. Freedom Park extends from the project site to the west. To the south is county agricultural land, and the properties to the north and east are zoned light industrial and have an industrial land use designation. The nearest residential to this location would be north of the US 101 in the Springville Specific Plan area, which is approximately 4,800 feet distant as the crow flies. The project itself, or the request, is that PVRPD would grant would ask the council to grant a waiver of the undergrounding requirement and the in lieu fee for the redevelopment project. The project itself is the redevelopment of this property, which used to have the swimming pool on it, as pickleball courts, which is an administrative permit adjustment that is done at the counter. This project is exempt from CEQA as a ministerial project, and it consists of the construction of 16 pickleball courts to serve the residents of Camarillo. One of the courts would have a bring-your-own-chair stadium seating for tournaments, and there would also be shade structures and a restroom. However, the existing power lines are the subject of the request. Despite the fact that the project is ministerial, Camarillo Municipal Code Section 13.08 requires the power infrastructure be placed underground for all development projects. On the south end of this project, as you can see here, there is a power pole with transformers on the property. Southern California Edison, when consulted, has stated that the project won't interfere with the pole as shown by the red dot here on the plans. The pointer isn't working, but the red dot on the left-hand side of the plans that the arrow is pointing to, and by the blue lines shown on the plans, which are the power lines. These power lines are actually 30 feet above the courts, so won't interfere with play, and the power lines and poles do not interfere with this proposed project. Additionally, on the right-hand side, which is the northeast corner of the property, there is a service pole that provides power to the actual property as well as to street lights on Hook Street. PVRPD and Edison both agree that this pole has no adverse impact and can stay at this location. So per the Camarillo Municipal Code, a waiver can be granted by the City Council when the creation of an underground utility district is not contemplated within a reasonable time as requiring immediate undergrounding and the area is unique and of special circumstances. Public Works does not foresee this area becoming an underground utility district within the next decade or more, and staff believes the area is unique and of special circumstances due to its remoteness and distance from residential properties. The cost of undergrounding per Edison would be at least $200,000, possibly north of $500,000, making the project infeasible for PVRPD, a nonprofit municipal district. The existing distribution lines do not actually serve the project site. However, the undergrounding would disturb the properties to the south that are not under the control of the district. Therefore, staff is recommending that the City Council waive the requirements for removal of the existing poles and an undergrounding of the existing overhead utilities and waive the in lieu fee. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Do any members of the council have questions? Councilmember Tennyson.
I just have a quick question, Paul. How much would the in lieu fee be if we didn't waive that?
I would have to turn that over to Public Works. They would be the ones calculating the fee.
Yeah, the fee has been established for some time, and it's by resolution. Right now, it's $415 per foot of utility line to be undergrounded.
Thanks.
And for some perspective, that is that would be closer to the $400,000 mark based on what Edison has estimated.
All right, do other members of the council have any questions for Paul? Councilmember Martinez Bravo.
Thank you. So the only question that I had is I'm thinking in the event that there was some type of accident, whether it's weather related or whatever it may be, and something happens to the poles, that's under the responsibility of Edison?
Yes, it would be Edison's responsibility to make repairs to those poles.
Okay.
And hopefully nobody is using the pickleball courts in a high weather event that might cause damage.
Thank you.
Are there other questions for Paul? Vice Mayor Kildee.
Yeah, Paul, so we're allowed to do this because of the remoteness and uniqueness of this particular project.
Correct, and the fact that we don't foresee this ever becoming an underground utility district anywhere in the near future.
Okay, and so if in fact this is granted, does the district have the funds to go forward with the project?
I would leave that to
That would be a Mary question? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But, let me rephrase it, this would go a long way to allowing them to go forward with the project.
Absolutely, it would go a long way to allowing them to do the project,
Okay.
which, pickleball is a very high demand sport right now in the country.
So I would think that if it is granted and they do go forward with the project, this is speculation on my part, it would be a whole lot less time if they were able to do it this way than undergrounding. Is that fair too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the undergrounding would require extensive time for Edison just to plan the undergrounding.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have.
Okay. Right, before I ask for any public comments on this, any other questions? All right, hearing none, are there any members of the audience, including any representative from the district, who would like to be heard on this matter?
I can probably answer a couple of those questions, Mr. Kildee. Could you put back, Paul, could you put up the court for me? So my name is Mary Otten, General Manager for Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District, and we've been working on this for probably 2 years, just to give everybody an idea of time frame. And part of it is planning. We've done community meetings to kind of figure out what this would look like, knowing that the growth of pickleball has been high. So there's a couple of things when you asked if what this would look like. $400,000 for this project is a big chunk if we have to pay the in lieu fee. Right now, the board has dedicated $1.4 million for this project. And so the way that the architect did it is we are looking at potentially phasing it in. So we know that we have $1.4 million in Quimby fees that we are using for this project. It will depend once we get through this stage. Then once we go through building and safety to figure out what we have to do there, and then once we go out to bid to figure out how many phases we have to do. If we can get 1.4 million for all of it, then the goal would be to build it all. If 1.4 gets us through phase 1 and 2, then we will do phase 1 and 2 and then reallocate funds accordingly as we're able to get funds to continue to do this. The goal of the board is to get this done as quick as possible, but as we all know, funding does become a barrier as we have other projects, but that is the goal with this project.
I have a question, if I
Certainly.
may.
Vice Mayor Kildee?
Mary, the 1.4 million, is that all the phases, or that just the first phase?
So the 1.4 million is dedicated, so the board has dedicated 1.4 million for however far we can get with this. And we won't know that until we get through building, until we get through building and safety, through planning, and then send it out to bid. So if we can send it out to bid and we can get phase 1 and 2 and it comes out to 1.4 million, we'll do phase 1 and 2. If phase 1 is 1.4 because you still have other infrastructure stuff. So to date, we've probably spent, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think to date we've already spent probably $400,000 on this project because we had to remove the asbestos and lead and pool that was on there, had to do sweat mitigation, and so we've already got about $300,000, $400,000 into this project. So we'll go as far as we can with the money that we have.
So I have just one follow-up, since you're here, Mary.
Sure.
So if you can save $400,000, that's a big deal.
Absolutely.
That's a big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that'll go a long way to whatever feasible type of, construction and/or, facility that you'll have.
Correct. So if you look at it right now, if we had to pay the roughly $400,000, so if we've already paid $300,000 and we had to pay another $400,000, that's $700,000. So if that happens, we don't even get phase. I would highly doubt we even get phase 1. So phase 1, the way that we're looking at it, would kind of be the top, which is closest to the door. So it would be able to at least get those 6 courts, all the parking that is needed that you see there, and then I know that we do have to have the power poles moved, but they can stay above, which is a lot less expensive. So all of that infrastructure stuff would take place as part of initial phase 1.
Thank you.
Councilmember Tennyson.
I know that pickleball is extremely popular. I've tried to get on the courts at Kildee Park, and sometimes it's near impossible. How many pickleball courts does PVRPD have right now?
So what we have is we have 4 dedicated at Kildee. There's 1 that's a multi-use court, but right now the way that we have worked that particular court is until we can get more courts, that one primarily is another dedicated. So in all intents and purposes, we have 6 dedicated at Kildee. Pitts Ranch has 2 that are multi-use, and so what we've done at Pitts Ranch is we've done mornings is tennis, afternoons priority is pickleball, and switched off back and forth with that. We have 2 more that's up at Springville. There's a park that's coming on out at the last phase for Springville. As part of that park, there will be 4 dedicated courts. So eventually, once we get some of the build out, even if you look at this build out and the other ones at the new park, you'd have 20 courts, dedicated courts. So then you're not going back and forth with tennis.
I know that we get some misguided emails at City Council asking us to increase the number of pickleball courts. You think even at full build-out, this will serve the population in PVRPD?
You know, I think that's hard to say. And as I tell people, you know, we get requests for different facilities all the time. It's like, hey, we need more baseball, we need more softball, we need more of this, we know. If everybody wants to play between the hours of 9 and noon, and everybody wants to play between the hours of 4 p.m. and 7, you're never gonna have enough of everything.
Right.
But this will definitely help relieve some of the stress. I think it also helps relieve some of the stress on the neighbors. Pickleball is a little bit louder sport, if you've ever heard it play, than tennis. So we do have some, you know, areas in town, Kildee, Pitts Ranch, that we do have some neighbors that are like, how soon can we get this built so we can move it out there, because it is a louder sport. But it will help, it will definitely help alleviate.
One final question. Will these be lit for night use?
Yes, they will be.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Other questions for Mary? Thank you very much, Mary.
You're welcome.
Are there any other members of the audience who wish to address the council on this particular item? All right, hearing none, I'll bring it back to the council. I do have one procedural question, if I can, for the city attorney, and that is that the staff report has the recommendation that the council waive the requirement for removal of the existing poles, et cetera, but there's also a resolution attached. If someone were to make the proper form of motion on this, would it be to include the staff recommendation plus adopt the resolution attached?
Yeah, I think that's good, the waiver, because I believe the resolution is what encapsulates that the waiver is being made, so.
So it would be, proper form of motion would be to approve the staff recommendation together with the resolution?
Yes, approve the waiver as, and adopt the resolution
Okay.
for that waiver.
Okay, I was just curious,
Yeah,
in case somebody makes that motion.
sure.
All right. All right, let's bring it back to the council. Any further discussion by council? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion. I move that we approve the staff recommendation and also along with the resolution as well, the approval of that.
Second. We're all excited.
Ooh, the tie goes to the runner on that one. I think Councilmember
a
Martinez
tie.
Bravo won that one. All right.
We're all
We-
excited for pickleball.
I don't know, it's kind of hard. This is baseball, it's kind of hard to, all right, but we'll go with Councilmember Martinez Bravo. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Councilmember Tennyson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kildee,
Yes.
and Mayor Tremblay.
Yes. All right, that item is approved on a 5-0 vote. We are now going to go to a public hearing on an ordinance amending Camarillo Municipal Code, Section 17.04.100, sign regulations for public facilities in residential zones. And Mr. McLaren, this is your night, your second one in a row.
Yes, it is. Again, good evening. Tonight I'm going to be presenting a staff-initiated request for an amendment to portions of the sign regulations related to public facilities in residential zones. So public facilities are churches, schools, hospitals, and special uses offering public services. When in residentially zoned areas, they're allowed one double-faced monument or single-faced wall sign that must be approved by the Planning Commission. Churches, the Boys and Girls Club, Kids Stream, the YMCA, and other public serving facilities would like additional signage to bring awareness to their services. The existing situation is that currently schools in residential zones are already being, because they're under the Division of State Architects, we have no approval process in the city, and they're already allowed to have freestanding and monument signs with changeable electronic copy without any city approval. Additionally, in commercial zones, we have changeable copy, which has become electronic, with caveats like it must be static for 4 hours, it can't be flashing, and it has to have ambient light controls to make sure it's not too bright at night. These are all approved ministerially in our commercial and industrial zones. Changeable copy in residential zones may also be electronic with the same caveats as in other zones, but they have to be approved by the Planning Commission. And so here's some examples of all those signs. These particular signs required the approval of the Planning Commission. So the Boys and Girls Club only has the one sign, and the Burnley Park only has the one sign as well. So the public serving facilities in the residential zones are only allowed one wall sign, like those that are allowed in industrial commercial zones, which is the example up in the upper right, in lieu of a monument sign. So they can have a monument sign or they can have a wall sign. It's their choice. The Boys and Girls Club, however, would like wall signage to increase visibility and awareness, as well as to honor the donors that made the club and recent extension possible. Kidstream would also like additional signage, including wall signs at their facilities. So ultimately, the proposed ordinance modifications would allow public facilities in residential zones to have one monument or freestanding sign, which can be approved by the Director of Community Development. It would allow electronic changeable copy, and it would allow one sign on each street frontage or parking lot frontage at those facilities. So the staff's recommendation is that the council find the item exempt from CEQA, as it will not have a significant effect on the environment, and waive further reading and introduce an ordinance amending Chapter 17.04 of the Camarillo Municipal Code pertaining to sign regulations. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Before I open it up for public hearing, do any members of the council have any questions for Mr. McLaren? I see Councilmember Tennyson first, and then Vice Mayor Kildee will be on deck.
So, Paul, if I understand what you said correctly, a facility like Kidstream would be able to have 4 wall signs because they have parking lots on 2 sides and they have streets on 2 sides.
Correct.
And the Boys and Girls Club would be able to have 3 signs. They have parking lot on the south, street and parking lot on the west, and then Ponderosa on the north.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Paul, would we still, the suggestion is to move it out of the Planning Commission and over to Community Development. We'd still have to go through our codes with that.
Yes, it would
That
have to
doesn't
follow.
change.
It would have to follow the procedure that we apply to all other signs in the city, which is a sign permit that is then reviewed against either a sign program or the city's codes and/or the city codes, at which point it would then be approved ministerially by staff.
Does that include the electronic display as well, the size and content, and do we also approve the hours of operation and things of that nature? I mean, in other words, we don't want to get into a situation where they're like super bright and it affects people that are driving too. So
Correct.
we look into that.
Right, so that's where we have required in all the zones currently that have electronic signage, something called an ambient light control, which actually measures how much light is currently around. And on a super bright day, it makes the LEDs in the screen super bright so that you can still see the sign. But then at night, when it's dark, it really dims it so that it's not glaringly bright and isn't going to hurt anybody's eyes or hurt the driver's eyes. So those ambient light controls are being a requirement of the code and something that as the permitting group, we would be making sure that those are on there. And then when we do the final compliance inspection, we would also make sure that that's there and functional.
Would it be your guess, Paul, that if this is approved, that the electronic signs would be popular? I mean, that would be something that we more than likely would see a lot more than what we do now?
I think that ultimately they're expensive. A lot of the public facilities want them, again, like Boys and Girls Club isn't actually looking for electronic and Kidstream isn't looking for electronic. But if you go by Boys and Girls Club right now, they actually have a banner sign up kind of advertising a sport right now. And if they chose to go with an electronic sign, that would, instead of being a banner that doesn't quite look aesthetically as nice as having an electronic reader board would be, that might be something that would actually improve the aesthetics in the area rather than take away from it. So, but again, it's going to be expensive, and I would imagine that Boys and Girls Club and these other places would have to, again, rely on donations to even be able to afford these signs. I don't think churches would be able to afford them as much. So I think the affordability would make it to where they're not going to become super prevalent.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, I don't believe there are any other questions from council for Mr. McLaren at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing on this item. And I know I have one speaker card, but if there are other members of the public who wish to address the council on this item, what I would ask you to do is pick up a blue card from the city clerk and fill it out, and then we can take it from there. Okay, I have one card, and it is from Dave Nuremberg. Mr. Nuremberg.
Good evening all, Mayor Tremblay and esteemed members of the City Council. My name is Dave Nuremberg, and I am the current chair of the Board of Directors of the Boys and Girls Club. And I'm here to ask you to please approve this amendment. We think that we in particular, and I speak for the Boys and Girls Club, but Kidstream, YMCA, we're doing yeoman's work for the community. At the Boys and Girls Club, we're taking over 300 kids a day off the streets, and we're putting them into an environment that is helping them grow, and it is an exciting thing to do. And you need to come by and see it any single day. Oh, I brought this. So we put in a STEM center. Kids made these for all of us board members. The kids are making this. They're on the computer and they're doing that. So the recognition that we would give is important to us because we are a 501c3 and we do not take funds from anywhere other than from grants or from personal donations. So it's very important to us. And that's what I have to say. So thank you for your consideration and appreciate your time. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Nuremberg. Are there any other members of the public who wish to address the City Council on this item? Going once? Gosh, going twice? All right, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Let's bring it back to council for discussion. Who wants to start? Councilmember Martinez Bravo. I'm looking in your direction.
I'm happy to start, yeah. I'm very comfortable with the proposed amendment. I think it's important that our ordinances continue to do what they're supposed to do, which is continue to serve our community. And I think this is the least that we can do in comparison to what is being done with Kidstream and Boys and Girls Club as an example. So I am very comfortable. In addition, I think the change to give that responsibility from the planning commissioner onto the development director will also make it more efficient, make the process more efficient. So with that, I'm happy to move the recommendations.
All right. Well, okay, if you're going to make that motion, why don't you go ahead and make the motion. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Madam City Attorney, do you want us to take those 1 and 2 together? I almost said odd seriatim.
I would just take it as that you're going to be accepting staff's recommendation, which is items 1 and 2.
Okay, and that was the intent?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second on that. Let's have a little bit of further discussion. Councilmember Santangelo.
You know, we have so many rules, laws that are meant to keep our community beautiful and free of clutter, and maintain that character that we're all so proud of and that we love here. And so that's why we have these rules to begin with. I don't think that these changes will harm our character or change that beauty of our city. I think this adds to the facilities and the organizations that need this signage. So I'm very comfortable with this, and that's where I stand.
Vice Mayor Kildee?
Yeah, I support this as well. I know I've seen the monument signs for the Las Postas Plaza, and any way you can get the information out with the programs that you provide is really, really important here. So I think this is positive. You have all of you that are here and those that are not, you have a great story to tell, and I think this will allow you to enhance that. So I support this.
Councilmember Tennyson?
Part of the goal-setting strategy for the city involves support of nonprofits, and I think this is a move in that direction, and I will wholeheartedly support it.
And for my part, for all the reasons articulated by my colleagues, I'm also in support of the motion. So, unless there are further comments, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Councilmember Tennyson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kildee,
Yes.
and Mayor Tremblay.
Yes. Record will reflect that that item was approved on a 5-0 vote. That brings us to the end of our formal agenda. We still have general public comments on items that are not on the agenda set for 6 o'clock this evening, and we can't take that early. So I'm going to call us into recess for, well, 9 minutes anyway, and we will reconvene at 6 p.m. Thank you. All right, we'll reconvene the meeting of the Camarillo City Council. It's 6 p.m. This is the time for general public comments for items that are not on this evening's agenda. I have a couple of speaker cards for speakers. If there's anybody else in the audience who has not filled out a speaker card but wishes to address the council, this would be a good time to get a blue card from the clerks and to provide that to them. We have a couple limits. We have a 3-minute limit for public comment items, and there's a timer up there that'll keep you in good stead. All right, we have 2 public comment cards. The first is from Neil Congello. I hope I am pronouncing your last name correctly, Mr. Congello.
I was kind of hoping you wouldn't say it's me because I'm very nervous. But, okay, I don't know, I'm embarrassed to be here for this, you know, but I've got to try to stand for what's right. I just want you to hear, this is a girl who's hitting the ball for 3 years, and my neighbor who hits the ball regularly 2 hours a day, and I just want you guys to hear what it sounds like. Forget it. I don't know if you could hear it, but it's very hard to pick up like that. Skipped it. Let me try it again one more time. Well, anyway, she hits the ball with it sounds like a metal bat to me, and a ball 2 hours a day, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Thanksgiving Day, 9 o'clock at night. And I've called many times to Camarillo. I've been over there to tell them about it. Just not fair. I don't know how they're gauging the sound, but it's unbearable. There's nothing we could do for those hours. You hear it. And so I was asking if maybe some amendment could be done regarding the sound, a softer ball or softer bat. It just doesn't seem fair to have to go through that, and I don't know what I'm here to ask you guys, but I'm talking to David Sanchez about it. They're trying to work on it, but I just don't know what solution there could be, but I'm just asking you guys to think about it. It's very annoying, so thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Congello, and I'm glad we have a 2-page note from you as well, written comments to the City Council, which we can review, and I'm glad that you're speaking with Mr. Sanchez. Thank you, sir. All right, our second speaker is Ryan McNerney. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Mr. McNerney.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor and council members as well, and City Manager. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Ryan McNerney. I've been a resident here and a homeowner since 2013, and off of Calle La Rota and East Ponderosa. There's been an imminent, what I've seen for years is an imminent life safety hazard that's been happening in that area. And just recently, there's been some things that I've seen that have really triggered me to come here today and speak. First off, thank you very much, Councilmember, former Chief Tennyson, for contacting me today above and beyond and letting me know that this was here tonight and I could speak. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I had wrote an email. All of you should have it. I addressed the entire council yesterday. I'm going to read it. I did not have time to practice, and I got 2 minutes and 19 seconds, so I'm going to do my best not to jumble everything, okay? My observation is as follows. In the area of Calle La Rota and East Ponderosa Drive, I witnessed dozens of people attempt to cross the intersection, northbound, southbound, on Calle La Rota into the daily track. The ages range from mostly elementary school kids, young kids, many different several cars, and we know it's a very highly trafficked area. Just north of this intersection is Calle La Guira and Calle La Granada, which is an elementary school. There are many kids that live on South Calle La Rota that have to cross the street that go to Las Postas Elementary, just to make you clear of the amount of traffic that's going through there. These kids, I see them all the time being hit, all the time. For me, when I sit there and look at these kids, it's really hard to reconcile what I do for a profession, which is a sworn firefighter, paramedic, and safety, and I see kids constantly almost getting hit all the time. So here's the problem that I see. There's no crosswalks, no pedestrian crossing signs, no stop signs to slow or halt traffic in the east and westbound lanes of East Ponderosa Drive. This area is not only extremely dangerous for children and adult pedestrians, but for motor vehicles as well. Too often do you see vehicles racing down with the post above the posted mile-per-hour sign to catch a green light on East Ponderosa Las Posas. Additionally, the follow has been observed. The frequency of speeding over the posted mile-per-hour limit in the area is absolutely out of control. It's not a thoroughfare. It's not just a thoroughfare for the traffic of Ponderosa, but particularly in the military housing as well. Here's my request: traffic signal stop signs, minimally flashing crosswalk, or a halt sign. I asked for this back in 2013 when I wrote the city council. This is what was given to me. I know I'm running short. I originally wrote in 2013. I was advised that planning and streets via email, there wasn't enough cross traffic to justify the stoplight. Anecdotal data gathered through outside studies showed that putting crosswalks could potentially give a false sense of security. Then, in that, there's so much, I'm sorry, I'm out of time. What gave me the biggest problem was the new stop sign that was put in at Springville and the new development. There's no way there's as much traffic there as where the area where I'm living now, and it's justified there. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. McNerney. I know you've spoken with Councilmember Tennyson. I'm also hoping that you will have a chance to speak with Mr. Klotzel, our Public Works Director. And I'm thinking that this might be a matter that could be referred. We have several committees on the City Council, and we have a transportation committee that this matter could be sent to, and I'm hopeful that personally that it could be reviewed at that committee level.
Mr. Mayor, if I could
Councilmember
just
Tennyson.
request that the gentleman speaking is notified the next transportation, because I told him the meetings are agendized and there's a chance for public comments there as well.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay. Are there any other members of the public who wish to address the City Council? All right. Hearing none, we have no items left on the agenda, so I'm going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting of the council. Have a good evening.